And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, today we're taking a look at the small game from Nestor Games called Way of the Dragon, which comes in, they come in these basically like pencil cases here, with the mats rolled up inside and all the pieces. They're print-on-demand type games, but Nestor does a good job at picking these selection of games and has really produced some gems in the past. This one's a dice rolling game. Yeah! Let's take a look. Here's the board, which is mousepad mat type board. Each person has an animal of their color. So we have white, yellow, blue, red, and black. Each player also gets a token. That's the stick in front of you, so remember what color you are. There are 5 dice in the game, and these dice have a dragon on one side and then 5 different symbols on the other side that go to the different elements of water, fire, metal, earth, and wood. Now these symbols, you know, you don't have to remember which symbol does what, but I will say there are a couple of the symbols that it's easy for people to get confused. Notably these two, I would have changed them. Yes, if you take a close look, you can see which of these symbols is which, but when you're rolling dice, I would have made them different colors, plus the different symbols. So anyway, when it's your turn, you're going to roll the dice, and then it's just like the rules that many people know for Yahtzee. You can keep whatever dice you want, so I'll say I'll keep these 2, and then re-roll these 3, and nice, and I'll keep those 4, re-roll that. So now I have 4 of the water column, and I have 1 of the earth column. So I can either move my token 4 on the earth column, or 1 on the water, 1 on the earth column or 4 on the water column. Well, that's pretty obvious. But let's say someone else rolls a 4 then on the water column. They cannot land on top of me, so they would have to go back 1 space, and so on and so forth. So black here, the only way he's going to move is if he rolls a 5. Hopefully white will move farther than that. Now eventually you'll land on a number, and when you land on a number you stop. You can't move anymore. And at the end of the game, the points you're going to get are equal to where all your tokens are on top of numbers. Then there's the dragons. Now dragons aren't worth much unless you roll 4 dragons. If you roll 4 dragons, then we look at the 5th symbol, and you can switch 2 pieces in that column, even if one of them is on a number. If you roll 5 dragons, then you can switch any 2 pieces, period. If you roll 1 of everything besides the dragon, so 1 of each element, then you simply, if possible, move all your guys 1 space on each of the rows. And that's it. And the game will continue until one person has all their pieces on numbered squares, at which point the game's over. Most points is the winner. There's also an advanced play where each player has a special ability that they can use once. For example, 1 time red can go an extra turn. Or white, 1 time they can re-roll the dice once more. And there's also a variant where you can make it so that you're immune to switching on one of the tracks, the one that matches your color. Anyway, most points is the winner. Well, this game has some really good concepts. There are a few niggling problems. One, the game is just a little too long. I don't know how I'd fix that. I think I might shorten the tracks by 2 spaces. The game is not quite so long, but if you play the full complement of players with 5 players, it's just really kind of lengthy, and a game where you roll dice in Yahtzee style shouldn't be a longer game. I would have capped this game at 4 people and maybe shortened the track slightly. Also, because when you land on a number, you cannot go any farther, your best option is to stop just 1 shy of the number and then hope you get a great roll the next time you go. The problem is, to land on a 5 is almost impossible because you need to roll a Yahtzee, which in this game, it's not called a Yahtzee, it's called perfection. And if you ever do roll perfection, by the way, again, extra turn, that's great, but the fact is you need to roll it to get the 5s. So you'd think the 5s would be like awesome, and they're not. They're only 1 more than a 4, which is only 1 more than a 3, and 3s aren't so hard to roll. So it's an interesting game, has some cool concepts. I didn't dislike playing it, but it felt like more could have been done. The special powers for the advanced play, they're interesting, but since you can only use them 1 time per game, they're not that spectacular. It's like, oh, I'm going to use my 4th reroll. Well, woohoo! it's just not as entertaining or interesting as I had hoped it to be. I think the idea is cool, and I would play this game and enjoy it as long as we play with a few players, because too many makes it too long. But I don't know, there just seems to be something missing. Maybe a little bit more development could have been done. Anyway, that's Way of the Dragon.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool Stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Die Schleusen werden geschlossen. Mach die Türe zu, du Sau.